Pleased to be joined by Shane Doan. And Shane, I know I speak for all Coyotes fans when I say welcome back. It's been a long time coming. What does it mean to you to finally be back with the organization?
It's huge. Obviously, it's something that time seems to go by so quickly, and I'd never in a million years would have thought that I'd be getting this opportunity after 25 years to still be involved with the organization. I'm beyond blessed and very grateful, and I'm looking forward to it starting up.
I mean, I know you've been around, but to walk back into the arena again in an official capacity, what was that like today?
It was incredible. Like, it was one of those things that Rich Nairn and I he's known me since I was a kid, like as a teenager, and to walk in and to talk to Rich and to find Stan and to do those things with the guys that in all seriousness, since I was a boy, to be back part of that was really special, and to be part of that as a group is something that I look forward to. And I can't believe the opportunity that the Morellos and Javier and Bill have given me.
Before we talk about your new gig, I just want to go back for a sec to have spent 21 years with the organization, and then I guess for it to end the way it did and not have the ties for a couple of years. I mean, how hard was that for you?
Yeah, it wasn't ideal by any means. That wasn't what I had planned. I kind of always thought that, doing things a certain way, that they'd kind of run along a certain path. But at the same time, I completely understand why it happened and what was the reasoning and the thought process. I might not agree with it, but I understand the thought process and the reasoning. But then to get the opportunity to work at the league, I needed that. I needed the opportunity to work at the league at the management level and be involved with the hockey ops department there and get to meet some of who will be my friends for the rest of my life, guys that I really, really admire, that I knew a little bit before and got to know way better. And so now it gives me an opportunity to come back here and hopefully do as good a job as those guys are doing there.
So Chief Hockey Development Officer, it's a fancy title, but what does that entail, and what's your role going to look like on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I'm going to be able to advise the owner and Javier with regards to kind of different things going on, maybe on the business side, help them out. I answer directly to Javier, and so that's going to be somebody that obviously will be involved in my day-to-day, and then help Bill out as well on the hockey ops side. That's what I spent the last 3 years doing, was the hockey ops, and to have an opportunity to do all that is something that I'm looking forward to.
What about in the fine print? Is there anything about being like an emergency player if something goes wrong?
I tried to fit that in there and was like, hey, just in case you're looking, but they're not looking for any 45-year-old slow guys. I don't know why. I'm not sure. I think they're missing the boat a little bit on that, but it's one of those things. We've joked and talked about it. In COVID, you have to be ready to do pretty much anything. Other than probably that, I'm ready to do pretty much anything to help out. So we'll see.
How is the game these days? Are you keeping it sharp?
It's not sharp, but I'm still playing. I still have fun playing. I'll play to the day I die. I mean, it's the greatest sport in the world. It's the community that goes along with our sport, and the ability to kind of install and draw out character is the things that I love about our sport. So I'll do that to the day I die.
You mentioned the 3 years that you were working with the league. What was the biggest eye-opening thing that you took away from that I guess you didn't know as a player, and where do you think that'll help you now coming back in your new role?
How valuable hockey ops are to the individual clubs and the NHL hockey ops. They're there as a tool to be used, and they want to use, and they have an incredible wealth of knowledge of the game and the ability to watch the game and a non-biased opinion about what your team is. Because I think often you get so drawn into what's going on your day-to-day basis that you're not able to reach out and look at, have an objective look at what's going on. And so that's something that I realized being there, that there's a lot of blind spots in your daily views, and to have the outside opinion is something that matters, and it's important. Without a doubt, I'll be talking to them lots, and hopefully they won't get sick of my calls.
As you well know, the word ownership to Coyotes fans, I think, gives everybody an uneasy feeling. But what's been your impression of Alex Morello and Javier Gutierrez and just their vision for the future and hockey here?
Well, I've known Alex. I had the opportunity to meet them last January, so we've kind of known each other, talked to each other a year ago, and then with COVID and everything that kind of went on, it didn't really get as much an opportunity to start talking to them as I did with Javier this summer. And he reached out, and I reached out to him, and then after a while, he gave me a call, and we got to become talking quite a bit as kind of things started to calm down a little bit. And the opportunity to get to know him was really a big part of the decision to want to come back. And then when you look at the track records of the Morelos and the 40-some businesses that they own in all different avenues of business, from banking to construction to TV to sushi restaurants to casinos to hockey teams, they've had success at all of those. And so that's exciting, and you hope that they can continue to do what they've done over and over again. And that's what I think every Coyotes fan, which I'm as big as there is hoping as well.
Obviously, one of their big platforms is growing hockey at the youth level here. As someone who's been in the Valley for more than 2 decades, I mean, what have been your impressions of what it was like then to what it looks like now?
Well, it's drastically improved. When we first got here, the first arena we skated in was the Oceanside Arena, and then we also skated at the old Memorial. And those 2 arenas left a little bit to be desired at the time. I mean, it had been a while. I believe we shot the puck right through it wasn't plexiglass, it was just hard plastic around the outside of the arena in Oceanside, and that's, again, 96. There's a lot to be desired at that time. But you start looking around the Valley now, I think they're up to 13 or 14 different rinks. The minor hockey as a whole has really started to grow. I had the privilege of watching my son kind of grow through that whole process and go through the whole minor hockey system. And so I really value it and think it's so important as an organization that we really spend some time pouring some energy and some enthusiasm into building that up, because those are kind of your future fans. And if you played for the Coyotes as a kid, had the opportunity to play for the Coyotes, you're most likely going to end up being a Coyotes fan as you get older. And I think that's something that we got to look towards in the future, is having every kid play for the Coyotes.
So Bill Armstrong, obviously switching gears, has a long history in scouting. And he mentioned that he had a scouting report on you. What do you think that scouting report said?
Ooh, probably a little slow. Not slow, maybe not just great feet. Could work on his feet a little bit, but not slow, not the best feet. For the most part, if you can just leave him alone, he might sleep through a whole game. You might not even notice him. And that, you know what, he's a nice kid. Leave him alone. So.
Obviously, Bill comes highly respected as a hockey mind. What have you heard of him prior, or what did you hear in kind of league circles when the Coyotes went about making this hire? And what's been your early impression? Because obviously, with where they're at with the cap and lack of draft picks, it's not an easy task. So, what do you think lies ahead for Bill?
Yeah, without a doubt. Obviously, the situation is not ideal, and the fact that your draft picks are really limited in this last year and then this coming year are going to make the idea of the draft being that much harder. So that's going to be very, very difficult. At the same time, the staff they've put together is going to do everything they can to give themselves the best chance of being successful in that. And then in regards to what you hear about Bill, you talk to the guys in St. Louis, and Doug Armstrong is probably one of the most respected GMs in the entire league. He's in the running probably for the Canadian Olympic team job. And he's a guy that if you spend any time around him, you're just naturally going to learn. And for Bill to have been around him a bunch is very fortunate, and something that I know Bill's talked about a lot and has taken advantage of.
All right, I'm going to put you on the spot and ask you to put your C back on. With year 4 of talk and the young core that they have in place, I mean, what do you think are fair expectations going into the season? And I'll put the disclaimer out there. Obviously, who the heck knows with, this weird COVID situation.
Well, I think as a player, you look at your team and you start with Kemps and Rance in the back end. If you're talking, he's going to be looking to count on those guys. Oliver is a guy that I am a huge fan of. I think he's a guy that has the capability of being an elite defenseman. And the young guys, you want them to take a step, and each one of them has shown a desire and a willingness to do that. I'm a huge fan of that group. I got to play with them their first year in regards to like Kells and Devo and Lawson Krause and Fish. I mean, you bring in a guy like Connor Garland to add to that group, and then a guy like Jacob Chikrin on the back end. It's exciting, and hopefully they take that step, and that group's going to be a lot of pressure is going to put on them, and they need to understand that that's coming. And I like the group and their personalities, and I hope that they understand that this is going to be big, and I think that we're going to be counting on them, as you lost some key guys with Richie, and you lost Steph, and obviously Grabs, and some of those guys are going to be guys that you lost that are going to have to fill their minutes and their roles. So hopefully Kemps is great, and that these young guys take a step, and we're playing sometime in May and June.
All right, I'll get you out of here on this last one. Where is the new arena going to go? Ownership said that you could tell me.
They did. Oh, good. Last time I heard, I think it was Flagstaff. They're looking at doing something up there. So, but something like that.
Donor, appreciate the time, man.
All right, thanks, Colin. I appreciate it. Almost said it too. I almost said it's going. No, I'm kidding.
I thought I had you for a sec.
All right, thanks.
I had heard Flagstaff too, so
yeah,
sources are lying.
I'm excited. Right at the base of Snowball.